Hello, and welcome to our Week 7 lab video. This week, we will examine the digestive system and the macro and micronutrients required by the human body. Nutrition is considered the provision of materials to the body to keep you alive. So what are these necessary molecules? Some of them are macronutrients, nutrients that we need in large quantities like carbohydrates and proteins, and some are micronutrients, those which we need in smaller quantities like vitamins and minerals. To begin this week, review the materials on page 273 to 277 in your lab manual. In experiment 1, we will use a marshmallow to determine exactly how much energy is stored in the bonds in the molecules that make up the structure of the actual marshmallow. Gather your materials listed on page 278. We will set up a fireproof petri dish by covering it in tin foil. You will place your marshmallow on top of that and light it on fire and measure the transfer of heat to 100 ml of water that you've put in an aluminum can. Make sure you are wearing your safety glasses and have a pot holder to hold the can with. Once the marshmallow has burned completely, quickly measure the temperature of the water and record it in your table on page 279. As you complete the post-lab questions, you will be asked to do some calculations. The following are some sample calculations to help you with the math. The first equation you will use is Q equals mc delta T, where Q equals the amount of heat energy, M is the mass of the marshmallow that you will measure, C is a constant specific heat of water, which equals 1.479 joules per grams degrees C, and delta T is the change in temperature that you measure in the water. So for example, if our marshmallow weighs 2 grams, we're going to multiply that by the 1.479 joules per grams degrees C, and we measured an 8-degree change in the water temperature. This calculation will give us 66.864 joules. Now joules doesn't mean much, so we're going to have to convert that to calories. To do so, use the equation that 0.239005736 calories is equal to 1 joule. In this sample, our marshmallow comes out to be having 15.98 calories. The last calculation you will do is figure out your percent error. So we know that the actual amount of calories is 23 calories per marshmallow. So how correct were we in our measurements? So percent error equals the measured amount minus the actual amount divided by the actual amount times 100. So our sample calculations, we will subtract 23 calories from 15.98 and divide that by 23 calories and multiply by 100. For this example, our percent error is about 30.5%. And remember, this is an absolute value, so don't pay attention to the negative. For experiment 2, we will examine different milks for the presence of glucose. Gather the materials listed on page 281 and follow the instructions for testing each type of milk for glucose. Fill in your data table on page 282 and complete the post-lab questions. Finally, in experiment 3, we will examine how our bodies use a buffer system to balance acids and bases in our body. Remember, our body must maintain a constant pH for each part of the body, no matter what it encounters. The foods we eat vary greatly in the pH, from very acidic things like lemon juice and vinegar to more basic or alkaline foods like broccoli and peppers. Our body must work hard to keep itself operating at an ideal pH for each individual tissue. Gather your materials listed on page 284. Follow the instructions for testing changes in pH with and without a buffer system. Complete the data table on page 285 and answer all your post-lab questions. Lastly, go over to Blackboard and complete the lab report for this week. And as always, email me with any questions you may have.